Have you ever felt like a hostage inside your own skin? Have you ever sat alone in a quiet room, replaying a single moment over and over, feeling the burning heat of regret in your chest because your temper flared, your anxiety took over, or your fear spoke louder than your wisdom? You promised yourself you would stay calm. You promised yourself you would handle it better this time. But in a split second, the surge took over. The emotion flooded your veins, hijacks your logic, and before you even realized what was happening, you destroyed a connection, abandoned a goal, or said words that can never be taken back. How much of your life has been quietly stolen by your own internal storms? How many opportunities have slipped through your fingers simply because you could not regulate what you felt in a moment of pressure? We live in a world that constantly teaches us how to manage our money, our careers, our appearance, and our time. But almost no one teaches us how to manage the tempest living behind our ribs. We end up moving through life like dry leaf floating on an unpredictable ocean. When the water is smooth, we feel peaceful. But the moment a wave of frustration, grief, panic, or anger crashes down, we are swept away, smashed against the rocks of our own impulses. The truth is simple, cold, and absolute. Until you master your emotions, every bit of intelligence, talent, ambition, and potential you possess will remain held hostage by your mood. It does not have to be this way. You were not born to be a passive victim of your biology. You were born to be the conscious captain of your inner world. Over the course of these 15 deep, life-altering chapters, we are going to dismantle the illusion of emotional helplessness. You will learn the hidden mechanics of your nervous system, the ancient psychology of emotional mastery, and the silent discipline that turns inner turbulence into an unshakable, sovereign peace. If you are ready to step out of the storm and take the reins of your own destiny, take a deep breath, settle into this sacred space, and let us begin. And before we step into our very first chapter together, if you feel called to continue this journey of deep self-realization and emotional freedom, take a quiet moment right now to subscribe to the channel. Join our growing community of conscious souls who choose clarity over chaos, and let us walk this life-changing path of transformation together. Chapter 1: The Invisible Steering Wheel. Think back to the last time you made a decision that you deeply regretted just 20 minutes later. Maybe it was a harsh, stinging comment fired off in the middle of a late-night argument with someone you love. Maybe it was a sudden, impulsive exit from a project you had worked on for months, born out of a sudden wave of insecurity. Or maybe it was simply closing your laptop and retreating under the covers because a sudden wave of overwhelm made your dreams feel impossibly heavy. In that precise second, as your heart hammered in your chest and your breath grew shallow, you felt an absolute, unshakable conviction that you were doing the right thing. And then, the emotional wave receded. The storm passed, the adrenaline drained from your limbs, and in the quiet, unforgiving light of the aftermath, a cold realization settled in your gut. You were not driving your life in that moment. Something else was holding the wheel. This is the hidden reality of the unexamined mind. We love to believe that we are logical, rational human beings who make conscious choices based on our deepest values. But neuroscience and human experience reveal a far more startling truth. The emotional centers of your brain process incoming reality long before your logical, conscious mind even realizes what has happened. Long before you have time to weigh options or consider consequences, your primal survival system has already flooded your body with physical sensations, shifting your perception and pushing you to react. Your emotions act as an invisible, silent steering wheel. If you are unaware of them, they will quietly steer your life into repeated collisions, burning down your peace, your relationships, and your potential while you falsely believe you are in control. Imagine a vessel sailing across a wide, dark sea. The captain stands on the deck, proud of the magnificent ship and convinced of his navigational skills. But beneath the surface of the water, massive, unseen ocean currents are moving with tremendous force. Because the captain never learned to read the currents, he misinterprets every shift in direction. When the current pulls him toward the sharp rocks, he blames the wind, he blames the ocean, he blames the sky. He never realizes that his failure to look beneath the surface is the very thing destroying his voyage. You are that captain, and your emotional states are those deep ocean currents. When you do not understand your emotions, you live in a constant state of personal reactivity. A cold look from a stranger ruins your morning. A minor setback at work ruins your weekend. A sudden feeling of doubt makes you abandon a dream you spent years building. You become a psychological puppet, pulled around by whatever feeling happens to surge through your nervous system at any given moment. To break free from this cycle, you must undergo a fundamental shift in how you view your emotional states. First, you must understand that an emotion is not a command. It is simply a burst of biological data. It is a physical sensation created by your nervous system based on past memories, evolutionary wiring, and immediate perceptions. When you feel anger, your body is simply releasing chemicals to prepare you for a perceived threat. When you feel fear, your heart speeds up to deliver oxygen to your muscles so you can escape. The emotion itself is neither good nor bad, neither right nor wrong. It is merely raw, biological energy moving through your frame. The tragedy occurs when you confuse the feeling with your identity. You do not just feel angry, you become the anger. You do not just feel anxious, you become the anxiety. The moment you fuse your identity with a temporary emotional state, you hand over the steering wheel. You allow a transient, fleeting feeling to make long-term decisions for your life. Second, you must cultivate the rare art of the conscious observer. The next time a powerful emotion surges through your body, whether it is fiery frustration, cold panic, or sudden sadness, do not try to fight it, suppress it, or immediately act on it. Instead, execute a quiet, internal retreat. Imagine stepping back inside your own mind, pulling up a chair, and simply watching the physical sensation of the emotion as if you were observing a summer storm from behind a clean window. Notice where the emotion lives in your physical body. Is it a tight knot in your throat, a heavy pressure in your chest, a sharp twisting in your stomach? Observe the physical reality of the feeling without slapping a dramatic story onto it. Tell yourself quietly, I am not this anger. I am the conscious space in which this anger is currently moving. When you create even a millimeter of distance between yourself and your emotional charge, something miraculous occurs. The emotional wave loses its power to command you. It peaks, breaks, and washes away, leaving your logical, wise mind firmly in possession of the steering wheel. Hold this awareness close to your heart as we continue, because once you realize that you are the captain and not the storm, you are ready to learn how to navigate the intense, turbulent waters of human feeling. In our next chapter, we will uncover the ancient, powerful distinction between reacting to life and responding to it. Chapter 2. The gap between stimulus and response. Picture a busy intersection in the middle of a hot, humid afternoon. The traffic is backed up for miles, horns are blaring, and the air is thick with fumes and frustration. A driver cuts sharply into a narrow lane without signaling, narrowly missing the front bumper of another vehicle. In the second car, the driver's eyes widen, his knuckles turn bone-white against the leather of the steering wheel. In less than a second, a wave of blinding rage rushes up his spine. His face flushes red, his teeth grind together, and without a single moment of conscious thought, he slams his hand onto the horn, rolls down his window, and screams a barrage of toxic, furious insults at the driver ahead. For the rest of the day, his heart aches, his hands shake, and his mind remains trapped in a dark, toxic loop of anger that ruins his afternoon, bleeds into his family dinner, and keeps him awake late into the night. Now pause and look at a second driver sitting in a car right behind them, facing the exact same traffic, the exact same heat, and the exact same reckless maneuver. The second driver sees the car cut in sharply. He feels his heart jump in his chest as his body releases a natural shot of surprise. He feels the sudden, warm flare of annoyance rising in his gut, but instead of instantly slamming his horn or screaming, he takes one deep, conscious breath into his belly. He holds the wheel firmly, adjusts his speed, and lets the reckless driver merge safely. He looks at the car ahead with a quiet, compassionate thought. That person is driving with dangerous desperation. I hope they get where they are going safely without hurting anyone. He exhales, relaxes his shoulders, tunes back into his favorite music, and maintains his deep, unbroken internal peace for the remainder of the day. Two human beings, the exact same external event, two completely different worlds. Where does the difference lie? It does not lie in the event itself. It lies entirely in what happened in the split second between the external event and the human action that followed it. This brings us to one of the most profound psychological truths ever discovered. Between stimulus and response, there is a gap, and in that gap lies your ultimate power to choose your response, and in your response lies your growth, your peace, and your freedom. Unmastered individuals live in a world where the gap does not exist. They operate like simple, primitive light switches. Flip the switch left, they explode in anger. Flip the switch right, they collapse into insecurity. A compliment makes them float on clouds of arrogance. A minor critique plunges them into dark despair. Because they have never expanded the gap between stimulus and response, they are completely at the mercy of external triggers. They do not act, they merely react. They are psychological pinballs, bouncing endlessly off the walls of other people's behavior. When you live in pure reactivity, you give away your personal sovereignty to every person, traffic jam, weather shift, and unexpected problem you encounter. You spend your life cleaning up the collateral damage of your own explosive impulses. To master your emotions, you must learn the sacred discipline of widening the gap. Think of the gap as an internal cushion of time and space that sits between whatever happens to you and whatever you do about it. In a novice mind, that gap is microscopic, a fraction of a millisecond. In a master's mind, that gap is vast, spacious, and quiet. Within that spacious gap, the master sits calmly, evaluates the raw data, processes the initial physical surge of emotion, considers their long-term values, and chooses a deliberate, constructive response that serves their destiny. How do you build and widen this space inside your own nervous system when life is continuously pushing your buttons? It begins with mastering the physics of the breath. The human nervous system is an intricate biological mirror. When an emotional trigger occurs, your subconscious mind immediately alters your physical breathing pattern. Your breath becomes fast, shallow, and concentrated in your upper chest, a physical signal that tells your primitive brain you are in immediate, life-or-death physical danger. This physiological shift shuts down the high-level, rational processing centers in your prefrontal cortex, locking you into a primitive state of fight, flight, or freeze. The moment you feel the sudden flare of an emotional trigger, whether it is a sharp comment from a partner, an alarming email from work, or a sudden wave of personal anxiety, your very first move must be physical, not mental. Do not speak, do not type, do not make a decision. Instantly shift your focus to your breath. Extend your exhale so that it is significantly longer than your inhale. Inhale deeply through your nose for 4 seconds, filling your lower abdomen, and then slowly, quietly exhale through your mouth for 6 to 8 seconds. This simple, deliberate breathing pattern sends a direct, unshakable physiological message down your vagus nerve, straight to your brain. I am safe. There is no physical danger here. Stand down. Within 3 to 4 cycles of this deep, extended breathing, the chemical surge of adrenaline begins to dissolve. The prefrontal cortex comes back online. The microscopic gap between stimulus and response widens into a spacious, serene room where you are once again in total command. Within that wide gap, ask yourself one simple, life-changing question. What response from me right now will serve my peace, my integrity, and my long-term vision? Choose that response, execute it with quiet, unbothered dignity, and walk away. When you master the gap between stimulus and response, you cease to be a volatile reactor to the world. You become a calm, intentional creator of your own reality. Chapter 3. The Anatomy of the Emotional Storm. Imagine sitting on the porch of a small wooden cabin, nestled deep within a quiet mountain valley. The air is still, the sun is shining, and the world feels completely peaceful. Then, off in the far distance, over the dark edge of the western mountains, you notice a subtle shift. The horizon begins to darken. A strange, cool wind whistles softly through the tops of the pine trees. The birds suddenly fall silent, sensing a drop in the atmospheric pressure. You know, with absolute certainty, that a massive summer storm is gathering its strength. Now, imagine two very different ways you could handle this moment. The first option is to stand on the porch and scream at the sky. You could stomp your feet, wave your fists in the air, and demand that the dark clouds turn back. You could curse the rain for threatening to ruin your day, burning yourself out with furious, useless resistance. The second option is just as foolish. You could sit in your rocking chair, close your eyes, and pretend the storm isn't coming at all. You could force a smile, ignore the thunder rolling down the valley, and lie to yourself that the sky is perfectly clear until the cold rain drenches you to the bone and the howling wind tears the roof right off your shelter. Neither of these approaches makes any sense. Yet, when an emotional storm gathers inside the human heart, these are the exact two ways most people live their lives. They either wage a furious, exhausting war against what they feel, or they bury their head in the sand, pretending everything is fine, while the unacknowledged pain rots away at their soul from the inside out. To master your internal weather, you must learn to study the true anatomy of the storm. An emotional storm is never a single, monolithic entity that suddenly drops onto your life out of nowhere. It is a precise, three-stage biological and psychological process. If you can learn to recognize these three stages as they unfold, you will never again be caught off guard by your own nervous system. The first stage of the storm is the trigger and the physical spark. Long before you consciously realize you are furious, terrified, or deeply hurt, your physical body knows. The storm always begins as a physical sensation. An unexpected message pops up on your screen. A spouse uses a certain tone of voice, or a memory unexpectedly surfaces in your mind. Instantly, your brain's alarm system fires off a cascade of chemical messages. Your heart rate leaps by 10 beats per minute. Your stomach tightens into a hard knot. Your neck muscles stiffen, and your breath becomes short and shallow. This initial physical spark takes less than a fraction of a second. It is completely automatic, guided by ancient evolutionary circuits designed to keep you alive. You cannot stop the initial spark from happening, and trying to suppress it is like trying to stop a lightning bolt with your bare hands. This brings us to the second stage, the narrative fuel. This is where human beings transform a simple, temporary physical spark into a devastating, long-lasting hurricane. The moment your mind registers the physical tightness in your body, it desperately demands an explanation. It instantly begins to manufacture a story to justify the sensation. If your chest feels tight, your mind spins a web of narratives. They don't respect me. They always do this. My life is falling apart. I'm going to fail, and everyone is going to laugh at me. This story is the fuel that feeds the fire. The brain hears the terrifying story created by the mind, panics even further, and pumps a fresh wave of adrenaline into your bloodstream. This new wave of chemicals reinforces the tight feeling in your chest, which prompts your mind to write an even darker, more dramatic story. You are now trapped in a toxic feedback loop. The physical feeling feeds the negative story, and the negative story feeds the physical feeling. The quiet breeze has officially become a blinding storm. The third stage is the behavioral explosion, or collapse. When the internal pressure reaches a critical boiling point, your nervous system demands relief. To escape the unbearable sensation inside, you lash out. You scream, you write a furious text message, you drink, you eat past the point of fullness, or you completely withdraw into cold, silent isolation. You trade long-term peace for 3 seconds of physical relief. So, how do you break the anatomy of the storm? How do you remain grounded when the winds of emotion are howling inside your chest? You break the storm at stage 2 by severing the link between the physical feeling and the mental story. The next time an emotional storm starts to build inside you, put this rule into immediate action. Feel the sensation, but drop the story. When you feel the burning heat of anger, or the cold grip of anxiety, pull all of your attention out of your racing thoughts and bring it entirely into your physical body. Treat the sensation like a pure physical phenomenon, totally detached from your mental drama. Ask yourself quietly, without the story my mind is telling me, what is this sensation in its rawest form? It is simply heat in the face. It is simply tightness in the chest. It is simply a fluttering in the stomach. It is just energy moving through biological tissue. When you strip away the dramatic narrative, the "he said," the "she did," the "what if," and the "it's not fair," you stop pouring gasoline onto the fire. You leave the biological spark completely isolated. Without the mental fuel of a catastrophic story, a raw physical emotion has a surprisingly short shelf life. Biological research shows that the chemical lifespan of an emotional surge, from the moment it fires to the moment it naturally dissipates, is approximately 90 seconds. Read that again. 90 seconds. If an emotion lasts longer than 90 seconds in your body, it is only because your conscious mind is continuously feeding it new stories, keeping the chemical storm alive hour after hour, day after day. Stand firmly on the porch of your conscious awareness. Watch the clouds gather, acknowledge the cold wind, and feel the physical drop in pressure, but do not scream at the sky, and do not pretend the storm isn't there. Breathe through the 90-second wave. Let the raw biological energy pass through your system, and watch as the blue sky naturally returns to your mind. Now that you understand the mechanics of the storm, we are ready to explore one of the most misunderstood emotions in human history, the quiet, destructive trap of emotional suppression. Chapter 4. The Poison of Emotional Suppression. For nearly 15 years, a man named David carried a heavy, invisible weight inside his chest. To the outside world, David was the picture of complete success and unshakable strength. He was a senior executive at a thriving firm, a reliable neighbor, a loving husband, and a dependable friend. People frequently praised him for his calm composure. No matter how chaotic a crisis became at work, no matter how severe a personal loss was, David never raised his voice, never cried, and never showed a single flicker of frustration. He wore his composure like a badge of honor. He truly believed he was the ultimate master of his emotions. Whenever grief, disappointment, or deep anger tried to rise to the surface of his awareness, David would instantly slam a heavy mental door shut. He would smile, take a deep breath, and tell himself, "I am stronger than this. Real leaders don't break. I just need to move on and focus on the work." He didn't realize that he wasn't mastering his emotions at all. He was simply burying them alive. What David failed to understand is that buried emotions do not die. They do not fade away with time, and they do not magically dissolve into thin air. Instead, they are forced deep down into the basement of the subconscious mind and the soft tissues of the physical body. There, in the dark, they quietly mutate. They turn into a slow, toxic poison that silently rots a human life from the inside out. For David, the poison began to show up in subtle, alarming ways. First came the chronic insomnia. Every night, the moment his head hit the pillow and the noise of the daytime world fell silent, his heart would begin to pound like a war drum, keeping him awake until the early hours of the morning. Next came a constant, unexplained tightness in his jaw and shoulders that no massage could release. Finally, a cold, heavy numbness settled over his entire emotional life. He found that he could no longer feel deep anger, but he also could no longer feel real joy, passion, or love. He was physically alive, but emotionally dead inside. One quiet Tuesday afternoon, while sitting at his desk, a minor technical glitch occurred on his computer. It was a simple error that usually took 30 seconds to fix, but David didn't fix it. He stared at the screen for 5 seconds, and then, without warning, the 15 years of compressed, buried pressure inside his chest violently exploded. He slammed his fist into the glass monitor, shattering it into 1,000 pieces, collapsed onto his knees, and wept uncontrollably in front of his entire staff. The dam had finally burst. David's story is not unique. It is the story of millions of human beings who confuse emotional mastery with emotional suppression. Suppression is the desperate, unhealthy act of pushing down uncomfortable feelings because you are afraid of them, ashamed of them, or don't know how to handle them. It is sweeping toxic waste under the rug and pretending your house is clean. Mastery, on the other hand, is the calm, courageous art of allowing feelings to exist, understanding their deeper message, and choosing how to express them with wisdom and control. To understand why suppression is so dangerous, consider the simple physics of a pressure cooker. When you place food and water inside a pressure cooker and seal the lid tightly over a hot flame, the temperature rises and steam builds up. If the cooker has a functional release valve, it safely lets off small wisps of steam at regular intervals, keeping the internal environment balanced and safe. Suppression is the equivalent of welding the safety valve shut while turning the flame up to high heat. You might look at the metal pot and admire how calm and steady it looks on the outside, but deep inside, the atmospheric pressure is mounting every single minute. Eventually, catastrophic failure is guaranteed. The pot will explode, destroying everything near it. When you constantly suppress your natural emotions, the trapped pressure eventually manifests in one of three destructive ways. First, it manifests as physical illness. Modern medicine increasingly confirms the undeniable connection between the mind and the body. Chronic emotional suppression floods your system with continuous, low-grade stress hormones like cortisol. Over time, this chronic stress weakens your immune system, raises your blood pressure, disrupts your digestive health, and creates persistent physical pain. Your body carries the burden that your conscious mind refuses to process. Second, it manifests as uncontrolled volatility. Just like David, the person who suppresses their feelings eventually experiences an explosive outburst over a tiny, insignificant trigger. A months-long accumulation of unspoken resentment, unaddressed grief, and swallowed anger comes pouring out all at once, destroying valuable relationships and ruining years of hard work in a matter of seconds. Third, it manifests as emotional numbness. You cannot selectively numb human emotion. When you systematically shut down your ability to feel fear, sadness, or anger, you automatically shut down your capacity to feel authentic love, or gratitude and joy. You trade a rich, vibrant human experience for a gray, monotonous existence. How do we break free from the poison of suppression without falling into the trap of reckless, explosive reactivity? We learn the transformational practice of radical emotional permission. You must give yourself unconditional permission to feel whatever rises up within your human heart, without judgment, without shame, and without self-criticism. If sadness comes, do not tell yourself to man up or be positive. Sit down quietly, feel the heavy ache in your chest, and let the tears flow if they need to. Tears are not a sign of weakness. They are a healthy, natural physiological release valve for a heavy heart. If anger surges, do not judge yourself as a bad person. Acknowledge the fiery energy in your veins. Say to yourself with absolute honesty, I feel deep anger right now, and that is okay. It is a natural human response. Remember this fundamental distinction. Feeling an emotion is entirely mandatory, but acting it out destructively is entirely optional. You can grant yourself complete freedom to feel intense anger internally, while holding an absolute, unshakable standard to act with complete dignity, restraint, and peace externally. You do not need to hide your storm, nor do you need to unleash it on the world. You simply need to hold it with compassionate, sovereign presence. As we move into our 5th chapter, we will take this work even deeper. You will learn how to listen to the hidden messages your emotions are trying to deliver to your life, turning your greatest internal struggles into your ultimate teachers. Chapter 5. The Hidden Messages of Pain. Imagine walking through the dashboard of a sophisticated aircraft, flying 10,000 feet above the earth in pitch-black darkness. Suddenly, a bright red light begins to flash on the control panel, accompanied by a sharp, repetitive beeping sound. It is the fuel indicator, warning the pilot that the main tanks are draining far faster than expected. Now, imagine if the pilot, irritated by the loud noise and flashing light, pulled out a small pair of wire cutters, reached behind the dashboard, and snipped the wire to the warning light. The flashing stops, the beeping vanishes, the cockpit returns to a quiet, serene state. The pilot smiles, relaxes back into his seat, and praises himself for fixing the problem so quickly. 20 minutes later, the engines sputter, die, and the aircraft falls silently out of the sky. This sounds like total madness. No trained pilot would ever destroy the warning light while ignoring the fuel level. Yet, this is precisely how millions of people navigate their psychological and emotional lives every single day. When uncomfortable emotions, such as persistent anxiety, deep resentment, sudden jealousy, or overwhelming grief, begin to flash brightly on the dashboard of their awareness, their immediate instinct is to snip the wire. They try to numb the feeling with entertainment, quiet it with alcohol, drown it out with relentless busyness, or force it away with artificial, toxic positivity. They view the uncomfortable emotion as an enemy, an unwanted intruder, or a personal failure. They fail to realize a fundamental law of human psychology. Your painful emotions are not defects, they are diagnostic signals. An emotion is never bad in and of itself. It is simply a messenger knocking firmly on the door of your conscious mind. It has traveled through the deep subconscious layers of your psyche to deliver a critical message about your life, your boundaries, your relationships, or your values. When you try to kill the messenger, you ignore the message. And when you ignore the message, the underlying crisis continues to grow in the dark until it destroys your peace entirely. Consider the true, hidden language of your emotional dashboard. 1. Anxiety is a signal of misalignment or unpreparedness. Anxiety is rarely an arbitrary glitch in your brain. It is often your deeper self warning you that you are living out of alignment with your core values, pretending to be someone you are not, or stepping into a situation without doing the necessary internal preparation. It is your mind begging you to slow down, return to the present moment, and restore your internal boundaries. 2. Resentment is a signal of compromised boundaries. Whenever you feel a bitter, simmering resentment toward another person, look closely at where you failed to set or enforce a healthy boundary. Resentment grows in the soil of self-betrayal. It appears when you continuously say yes to others, when your soul is screaming no. The resentment is not truly about their demands. It is about your refusal to protect your own time, energy, and peace. 3. Jealousy is a signal of unexpressed potential. When a sudden flare of envy or jealousy strikes your heart while watching someone else's success, do not judge yourself as a bitter or malicious person. Jealousy is simply a redirected compass. It highlights something in another person that you secretly desire for yourself, but have lacked the courage, discipline, or vision to build in your own life. It is your buried potential crying out for attention. 4. Anger is a signal of violated standards. Anger is the guardian of your core values. It flares up when a boundary has been crossed, an injustice has occurred, or a personal standard has been compromised. It provides raw, potent energy designed to help you stand up, take decisive action, and correct a wrong. To unlock the hidden wisdom within your pain, you must master the discipline of emotional inquiry. The next time an uncomfortable emotion flashes on your internal dashboard, do not snip the wire, do not run, and do not distract yourself. Sit down in a quiet room, take 3 slow, deep breaths, turn toward the emotion, and treat it like an honored guest who has brought you an important letter. Ask the emotion 3 quiet, direct questions. What are you trying to protect me from? Where in my life am I betraying my own truth or ignoring my boundaries? What constructive action or shift in perspective are you asking me to make right now? Listen closely to the quiet answers that emerge from the silence. When you learn to decipher the hidden messages of your pain, your emotions cease to be terrifying monsters that drag you into darkness. They become your greatest guides, illuminating the exact path toward your highest growth, freedom, and strength. Chapter 6: The Art of Emotional Detachment. Picture a wide, pristine river flowing smoothly through a dense, quiet forest. Standing on the bank of this river is a person holding a heavy, wooden bucket. Every few minutes, a floating object drifts down the stream. A smooth piece of driftwood, a fallen red leaf, a tangled cluster of river weeds. or a sharp, jagged piece of debris. Whenever an object floats past, the person on the bank drops their bucket into the cold water, scoops up the object along with 10 gallons of heavy river water, hauls it up the steep embankment, and pours it onto their own front porch. They do this hour after hour, day after day. Soon, their living space is piled high with rotting wood, slimy weeds, stagnant water, and sharp debris. They sit on their porch, overwhelmed, exhausted, and weeping, complaining about how terrible and heavy the river is. Anyone watching this scene would want to grab the person by the shoulders and shout, "Why are you scooping up everything that floats down the river? Why don't you just stand on the bank and let the water flow past?" This river is the continuous stream of human thought and emotion. The bank is your conscious awareness, and the person scooping up heavy buckets of water is anyone who lives without the art of emotional detachment. Most human beings spend their entire lives scooping every passing emotional state into their mental living rooms. A random thought of insecurity floats by. They scoop it up, obsess over it, and build a house out of it. A passing wave of irritability drifts through their nervous system. They grab it, identify with it, and use it to attack their loved ones. They live in a constant state of psychological attachment, mistaking every temporary feeling for their permanent identity. Emotional detachment is not coldness, stoicism, or apathy. It is not pretending you don't have feelings, nor is it shutting down your heart to avoid pain. True emotional detachment is the profound, liberating realization that you are the space in which emotions occur, not the emotions themselves. You are the wide, permanent riverbank. Your feelings are merely the temporary objects floating down the stream. Think about the physical sky above your head. On some days, the sky is clear, blue, and bathed in warm sunlight. On other days, heavy, dark rain clouds roll in, blocking the sun and pouring cold water onto the earth below. On rare occasions, violent tornadoes tear through the atmosphere, accompanied by roaring thunder and flashing lightning. Does the sky panic when the storm arrives? Does the sky lose its fundamental nature because clouds are present? Does the sky try to grab the lightning bolt and hold onto it forever? Of course not. The sky simply remains spacious, calm, and open. It allows the storm to gather, allows the rain to fall, and allows the wind to blow, knowing with absolute certainty that no storm has ever permanently altered the vast, clear nature of space itself. Eventually, the clouds break, the rain stops, and the blue sky reveals itself once again, completely untouched by the violence that just took place within it. You are the sky, your emotions are the weather. When you practice emotional detachment, you stop saying, "I am depressed." You say, "I notice a feeling of sadness floating through my awareness today." You stop saying, "I am an anxious person." You say, "My body is currently experiencing a sensation of anxiety." Notice the subtle, life-changing shift in language. The moment you reframe your experience from identity, "I am this," to observation, "I am observing this," you break the hypnotic spell of emotional attachment. You step out of the heavy water and stand firmly on the bank of conscious awareness. To cultivate the art of emotional detachment in your daily life, implement the practice of the neutral observer. 1. Label the state without judgment. When an emotional wave hits, name it neutrally, as if you were a scientist studying a natural phenomenon. Say to yourself quietly, "This is anger," or "This is fear." Do not add moral judgment. Do not say, "I shouldn't feel this way," or "This is terrible." Simply name the visitor. 2. Disconnect thought from sensation. Recognize that the initial physical sensation in your body is natural, but the mental story you build around it is optional. Let the physical sensation exist in your chest or stomach, without jumping on the mental train of past regrets or future worries. 3. Let it pass. Imagine the feeling as a leaf floating down a moving river. Watch it drift into your field of view. Watch it pause for a moment, and then calmly watch it float away down the stream. Do not reach into the water to grab it. Do not try to push it away. Simply watch it move. When you master the art of emotional detachment, a deep, unshakable peace settles into your life. You can experience the full, rich spectrum of human feeling, the joy, the grief, the excitement, and the pain, without ever again being dragged down or destroyed by the ocean of your own mind. Chapter 7. The Alchemy of Emotional Transmutation. Imagine walking into an ancient, dust-filled workshop hidden beneath the stone arcades of an old European city. On the heavy oak tables stand iron retorts, glass vials, and glowing braziers. For centuries, the ancient alchemists labored in places like this, driven by a single mythical dream, the secret of transmutation. They sought the master formula that could take heavy, worthless leaden ore and transform its very atomic structure into pure, radiant gold. History tells us that those physical alchemists failed to turn literal lead into physical gold, but in their tireless searching, they uncovered a far more profound spiritual truth, one that applies directly to the human heart. The greatest alchemy in existence is not physical, it is psychological. Every single day, life hands you heavy, leaden emotional raw material. You are handed the cold lead of betrayal, the bitter weight of grief, the fiery spark of anger, the sharp sting of rejection, and the heavy burden of deep personal disappointment. Unmastered individuals take this lead, carry it around in their arms, and let it weigh them down until they collapse under its mass. Or worse, they throw that heavy lead at the people they love, spreading pain and chaos wherever they go. The emotional alchemist, however, operates under a completely different paradigm. When handed a heavy lump of leaden emotion, the alchemist does not curse the metal, nor do they try to throw it away. They carry it quietly into the inner forge of their conscious mind. They apply the intense heat of disciplined awareness, subject the feeling to the refining fire of deep self-inquiry, and transform that raw, destructive emotional energy into the pure gold of wisdom, creative output, unshakable drive, and profound personal power. This is the art of emotional transmutation, the deliberate redirection of high-intensity emotional energy away from destructive reactivity and into constructive, life-altering creation. To master this inner alchemy, you must first understand a fundamental law of physics that governs both the physical universe and your internal world. Energy can neither be created nor destroyed. It can only be changed from one form to another. When a powerful emotion flares up inside your body, whether it is blinding rage, deep insecurity, or intense longing, it represents a massive surge of potential energy. It is a biological fire roaring through your nervous system. If you attempt to suppress that fire, you trap a pressurized explosion inside your own walls. If you allow that fire to rage out of control, you burn down your own life. But if you capture that heat, channel it through a narrow, deliberate pipe, and direct it toward a specific wheel, that exact same destructive fire can drive the heavy machinery of your ultimate transformation. Consider how history's greatest minds, artists and leaders, practiced this exact inner alchemy. When the ancient Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius faced relentless political corruption, war, and plague, he did not allow his frustration to turn into bitter cynicism. He channeled that intense psychological friction into his personal journal, transmuting his daily struggles into meditations, a timeless guide on human dignity that continues to heal minds 2,000 years later. When magnificent musicians, writers, and painters suffer devastating heartbreak or tragic loss, they do not simply collapse into helpless despair. They carry that raw, agonizing ache to the piano, the empty canvas, or the blank page. They transmute the cold lead of personal sorrow into immortal works of art that move millions to tears. When visionary athletes and entrepreneurs face public disrespect, crushing failure, or severe doubt from critics, they do not waste their breath on internet arguments or petty revenge. They take the fiery spark of insulted pride and transmute it into fuel for brutal training sessions, late-night study, and relentless focus until their results make debate completely impossible. How do you apply this sacred alchemy inside your own life when emotional storms strike? You follow the 3 steps of the alchemical protocol. Step 1. Recognize energy as neutral. The moment a powerful, uncomfortable emotion surges through your system, strip away its moral label. Stop calling anger bad, stop calling fear weak, and stop calling longing shameful. Recognize the feeling for what it truly is: pure, unaligned human voltage. It is simply raw power moving through your physical body. The voltage itself is neither good nor bad. Its value depends entirely on what machine you plug it into. Step 2. Contain the vessel. Before you can transmute energy, you must hold it. In physical alchemy, if the glass retort breaks, the chemical reaction spills out and ruins the workshop. When the emotional surge hits, close your mouth, put down your phone, walk away from the argument. Seal the vessel of your physical body through deep, measured breathing. Do not allow the raw energy to leak out through cheap complaints, explosive outbursts, or immediate distraction. Let the internal temperature rise within your conscious awareness until the raw emotion is completely melted down. Step 3. Redirect into sacred action. Once the energy is contained and melted down into pure voltage, immediately assign it a constructive physical task. If you are consumed by fiery anger or insulted pride, do not send a bitter text. Channel that intense, aggressive voltage directly into physical training. Go to the gym, run until your lungs burn, or pour that relentless focus into finishing a difficult project you have been avoiding for months. Use the fire to burn through inertia. If you are gripped by cold anxiety or nervous panic, do not sit on the couch overthinking. Channel that hyper-vigilant energy into meticulous organization and preparation. Clean your space, organize your finances, build a detailed contingency plan, or study the exact subject you feel unprepared for. Use the nervous energy to build an impenetrable structure. If you are heavy with deep sadness or heartbreak, do not drown in bitter self-pity. Channel that soft, vulnerable ache into profound human connection, creative expression, or deep self-care. Write, create, reach out to someone who is hurting even more than you are, or give yourself the deep rest your body is begging for. Use the sadness to soften your heart and expand your empathy. When you master the alchemy of emotional transmutation, you stop fearing bad days, difficult people, and painful setbacks. You realize that every single emotion life throws at you, no matter how dark, sharp, or heavy, is simply free fuel brought to your inner forge, waiting to be turned into pure, radiant gold. Chapter 8. The Illusion of Control. Imagine standing on a rocky cliff overlooking a vast, dark ocean during a severe winter gale. Below you, mountain-high waves crash against the black stone with terrifying force, spraying cold salt water high into the night air. The ocean is wild, chaotic, and governed by immense planetary forces completely beyond human influence. Now, imagine stepping up to the very edge of that cliff, holding out a wooden school ruler toward the horizon and shouting at the top of your lungs, "I command the ocean to stop moving. I demand that the waves fall flat this instant." What happens? The ocean does not care about your voice. The waves do not pause for your command. The wind blows your words right back into your face, and a massive wave crashes against the rock, drenching you in freezing water. If you continue to stand there hour after hour, growing increasingly furious, screaming at the tide, and weeping because the water refuses to obey your wooden ruler, any sane observer watching from a distance would realize that you are trapped in a profound state of psychological madness. Yet, this exact madness is how millions of human beings spend their brief time on this earth. We do not hold wooden rulers over physical oceans, but we hold our fragile expectations, rigid rules, and desperate demands over the vast, unpredictable ocean of life. We demand that other people act according to our internal script. We demand that the economy never shift, that traffic never back up, that our bodies never age, that our plans never encounter roadblocks, and that the people we love never change or disappoint us. And when the ocean of reality inevitably crashes against our fragile wooden expectations, we explode in rage, collapse into anxiety, or sink into deep despair. We burn through our precious life force, trying to control things that were never ours to manage in the first place. This brings us to the ultimate root of almost all human suffering, the refusal to distinguish between what is up to us and what is not up to us. Over 2,000 years ago, the former slave turned philosopher Epictetus laid down the foundational rule of human freedom in his simple, revolutionary teaching known as the dichotomy of control. Epictetus taught that the entire universe can be divided into two clean, unshakable categories. Category 1, things that are not up to you. This category contains almost everything in the external world. What other people think, say, feel, or do. The outcome of your efforts and investments. The past and the future. The weather, the economy, global events, and the natural laws of reality. The physical actions and choices of your partner, children, boss, or friends. Category 2, things that are up to you. This category is extraordinarily small, precise, and quiet. Your conscious thoughts and the meaning you assign to events. Your emotional responses and internal standards. Your personal effort, intentions, and immediate physical choices. How you treat yourself and how you treat others in the present moment. The tragedy of the unmastered mind is that it invests 99% of its emotional energy into Category 1, trying to force, manipulate, change, or worry about things it can never truly control, while completely neglecting Category 2, the only domain where its actual power lives. When you attempt to control Category 1, you set yourself up for perpetual emotional agony. If your internal peace depends on another person changing their personality, you have placed your happiness in a prison to which they hold the key. If your self-worth depends on guaranteed external success, you are playing a rigged game against a chaotic universe. You become an emotional beggar, pleading with external circumstances to behave so that you can feel okay inside. To achieve true emotional mastery, you must execute a radical, uncompromising shift from desperate control to sovereign influence. Consider the profound metaphor of the master archer. The master archer stands on the range, pulls an arrow from the quiver, and knocks it onto the bowstring. He checks his stance, breathes deeply into his diaphragm, pulls the string back to his ear, aligns the arrowhead perfectly with the center of the target, and releases the arrow with flawless technique. Up until the precise second the arrow leaves his fingertips, everything is within the archer's control: his focus, his stance, his tension, his breath, and his form. This is his absolute responsibility. But the second the arrow leaves the bow, it enters the domain of reality. A sudden gust of wind can blow the arrow off course. A bird can fly into its path. The target itself can be moved by an earthquake. The archer does not own the landing spot of the arrow. He owns only the quality of the release. If the archer is wise, he steps back after the release with deep peace, knowing he executed his duty with total perfection. If the wind carries the arrow away from the center, he does not throw a tantrum, smash his bow, or curse the sky. He simply observes the wind, pulls another arrow from his quiver, and prepares for the next shot. You must become the master archer of your own life. Focus 100% of your energy on the pull of your own bow, your attitude, your integrity, your effort, and your kindness. Then, surrender the path of the arrow to the universe with complete, trusting grace. To put this wisdom into practice when faced with sudden chaos or unexpected loss, apply the rule of radical acceptance. When an unavoidable setback occurs, do not waste a single second screaming at the tide. Do not ask, "Why is this happening to me?" Instantly accept the raw, unchangeable reality of the present moment as it is. Tell yourself quietly, "The wave has already crashed, the past is fixed, the reality is here. Now, what is the most dignified, effective, and wise choice I can make right here from where I stand?" When you relinquish the foolish illusion of control and embrace the quiet power of internal mastery, the heavy burden falls from your shoulders. You stop fighting the ocean, and you finally learn how to sail. Chapter 9. The Architecture of Inner Peace. Imagine walking through a dense, bustling city during the absolute peak of afternoon rush hour. Car horns blare incessantly. Sirens wail in the distance. Thousands of pedestrians hustle past one another, bumping shoulders, shouting into phones, and rushing toward their next destination. The air is thick with heat, exhaust, and chaotic, unchanneled noise. Now, imagine stepping off that scorching asphalt sidewalk and walking through a heavy, ancient stone doorway set into a high wall. The moment the heavy oak door swings shut behind you, the deafening roar of the city vanishes into a soft, distant whisper. You find yourself standing inside a serene, centuries-old monastery courtyard. At the center of the courtyard sits a calm, crystal-clear stone basin filled with still water. Lush green moss lines the floor, and the faint scent of jasmine floats through the cool shade. You take a slow, deep breath into your lungs, and a profound, bone-deep stillness immediately settles over your entire nervous system. Notice something fundamental about this sanctuary. The chaotic city outside did not vanish. The cars are still honking, the crowds are still rushing, and the summer heat is still radiating off the concrete just inches away on the other side of that stone wall. Yet, inside the courtyard, total peace reigns supreme. This is the ultimate secret of emotional mastery. True peace is never the total absence of external chaos. It is the presence of an impenetrable internal sanctuary. Most human beings spend their entire lives frantically trying to quiet the external city. They believe that if they can just eliminate every difficult person, fix every problem, clear every bill, and smooth out every unpredictable wave in their life, they will finally be allowed to feel peaceful. They treat peace as a distant, conditional prize that can only exist when the entire universe decides to behave according to their preferences. This conditional approach to peace is a tragic, lifelong trap. The world will never fall completely silent. People will always be unpredictable, traffic will always back up, plans will always break, and body sensations will always shift. If your internal peace depends on a quiet world, you will remain an emotional beggar for the rest of your days on this earth. The master, however, stops trying to quiet the city outside. Instead, they devote their energy to constructing high, impenetrable stone walls around their own internal courtyard. They build an internal architecture so strong, so quiet, and so deeply rooted that no matter how loud the external storm rages, their core remains completely serene. To construct this unshakable internal architecture, you must understand the three foundational pillars that support its structure. Pillar 1, the principle of non-reactivity. The first pillar of your internal sanctuary is the conscious refusal to treat every fleeting external thought, comment, or event as an emergency. The unmastered mind operates like an oversensitive fire alarm that goes off at the slightest hint of heat. A minor disagreement, an unreturned phone call, or a critical comment sets off blinding sirens inside their head, flooding their body with adrenaline and throwing their entire internal living room into red alert. To build non-reactivity, you must install a psychological filter between your senses and your nervous system. When a stimulus arrives, ask yourself one simple question. Is this an actual fire that threatens my physical survival, or is it merely a harmless puff of smoke from someone else's exhaust pipe? 99% of the things that steal your peace are not fires, they are smoke. Learn to sit quietly in the presence of smoke without ringing the alarm, without calling the fire department, and without burning down your own house in a panic. Pillar 2, the sanctity of the present moment. The second pillar of your internal sanctuary is keeping your awareness strictly anchored within the narrow, safe boundary of right now. Anxiety, panic, and overwhelm cannot survive in the present moment. They require a continuous stream of mental projected energy to exist. Anxiety lives exclusively in the imaginary dark alleyways of the future, worrying about what might happen tomorrow, next month, or 10 years from now. Regret and bitterness live exclusively in the graveyard of the past, replaying what should have been said, what was done, or what was lost. Whenever you feel your internal peace collapsing, notice where your mind has wandered. You will inevitably find that your consciousness has abandoned the present moment and dragged you either into the graveyard of the past or the phantom terror of the future. Pull yourself back immediately. Look down at your feet. Touch the solid surface beneath you. Feel the cool air moving into your nostrils. Ask yourself, in this exact second, right here and right now, is there anything I cannot handle? In this exact second, you are breathing. In this exact second, you are safe. In this exact second, you are whole. Anchor your consciousness firmly inside the present moment and let the future take care of itself. Pillar 3, the practice of daily solitude. The final pillar of your internal sanctuary is the non-negotiable habit of stepping away from the human crowd to be completely alone in silence every single day. You cannot build an internal monastery if you never close the front door. If your eyes are continuously glued to digital screens, your ears continuously flooded with podcasts or music, and your mind constantly digesting the opinions of others, your internal living room will remain cluttered with garbage. Set aside 20 to 30 minutes every single day for quiet, undistracted solitude. Sit comfortably in a chair, close your eyes, turn off your phone, put away all books and notebooks. Do not try to achieve anything, plan anything, or fix anything. Simply sit as a quiet, loving witness to your own existence. At first, your mind will squirm, jump around, and throw a tantrum, desperate for a quick hit of stimulation. Let it squirm. Breathe through the itch. Stay seated. As the minutes pass, the sediment in the water will slowly settle to the bottom, just like dirt in a glass of water. The water will become crystal clear. You will reconnect with the quiet, permanent observer living behind your ribs, and you will step back into the world with a cool, unshakable sanctuary built firmly inside your soul. Chapter 10. The Master of the Internal Kingdom. Imagine a vast, wealthy kingdom spanning emerald green valleys, towering mountain ranges, and thriving coastal cities. Sitting on the high throne in the royal palace is the king. Surrounding his throne are his chief advisors, the general of the army, the treasurer of the realm, the high priest, and the chief diplomat. Each advisor is a specialist, trained to handle specific, critical aspects of the kingdom's survival. Now, imagine what happens to this kingdom if the king is weak, passive, and totally indecisive. Whenever a minor border dispute occurs, the general panics, seizes control of the royal court, and orders a full-scale, devastating war that bankrupts the nation. When a dry season arrives, the treasurer takes over the throne room in a fit of terror, locking away all the grain and leaving the citizens to starve in the streets. When a foreign ambassador visits, the chief diplomat gets offended by a minor insult, steps into the king's role, and cuts off all trade routes in a blind rage. Because the true king abandoned his throne, the kingdom is ruled by the erratic, hysterical whims of individual advisors who were never designed to hold ultimate authority. The land collapses into perpetual crisis, chaos, and ruin. This chaotic kingdom is an exact mirror of the unmastered human mind. You are the king of your internal world. Your throne is your conscious awareness, and your primary emotions, anger, fear, sadness, joy, desire, and pride, are your chief advisors. Every single one of these emotional advisors has a valid, evolutionary purpose. Fear is your security officer, warning you of potential danger. Anger is your border defense, alerting you when a boundary has been crossed. Sadness is your internal physician, forcing you to slow down and heal after a deep loss. Desire is your expansion officer, driving you to seek growth and new horizons. The tragedy of human existence is that most people have completely abdicated their internal throne. They have allowed their emotional advisors to step up, push the conscious king out of the seat, and run their entire lives. When fear takes the throne, you spend years hiding in the dark, abandoning your greatest dreams because of phantom possibilities. When anger takes the throne, you burn down precious friendships and ruin professional reputations over minor slights. When desire takes the throne, you trade your long-term health, integrity, and self-respect for cheap, fleeting hits of short-term pleasure. To become the master of the internal kingdom, you do not execute or banish your emotional advisors. You do not try to murder fear, suppress anger, or eradicate desire. A king without advisors is blind and helpless. Instead, you step back into the throne room, reclaim your rightful crown, and restore proper order to your court. You look at fear from your high seat and say, "Thank you for your report, my security officer. I hear your warning about the risks involved in this new venture. I will take prudent precautions, but we will move forward regardless." Step back to your place. You look at anger and say, "I acknowledge your heat, my border defense. You have shown me that a boundary was crossed. I will handle this matter with calm, firm, and dignified diplomacy. Step back to your place. You allow your emotions to speak, but you never allow them to vote. You take their raw data, filter it through your higher wisdom, your values, and your long-term vision, and then you, the sovereign king, make the final executive decision for your life. To firmly establish your sovereignty as the master of your internal kingdom, put into practice the 3 rules of internal royalty. 1. The rule of delayed judgment. A wise king never issues a royal decree in the heat of a hysterical court debate. When a major emotional wave hits your court, institute an absolute, non-negotiable delay. Make it an ironclad law of your personal life that you will never send an important message, make a major life decision, or end a relationship while an emotional advisor is occupying the throne. Wait until the advisor steps down, the court falls quiet, and your conscious mind sits firmly back in the king's seat before taking action. 2. The rule of compassionate discipline. Rule your internal court with a balance of deep compassion and unshakable discipline. When your emotional advisors panic or flare up, do not abuse them, judge them, or hate yourself for having human feelings. Treat them like anxious, well-meaning children who are simply trying to protect you in their own clumsy, primitive way. Speak to them with internal warmth, but hold your ground with absolute firmness. 3. The rule of the unbroken standard. A true sovereign holds high personal standards, regardless of what is happening inside or outside the royal walls. Even on days when sadness rains down, even on days when fear whispers lies, and even on days when anger roars through the halls, the king still rises at dawn, maintains his personal discipline, treats others with respect, and executes his daily duty. Your mood is temporary, but your character is permanent. Never let a passing mood vandalize a permanent character. When you step back onto the throne of your conscious mind and rule your internal kingdom with wisdom, dignity, and peace, you achieve the ultimate realization of human development. You become the undisputed master of your emotions, and your life becomes a magnificent, enduring masterpiece. Chapter 11. The Sacred Architecture of Emotional Boundaries. Imagine standing before the broad, open gateway of a magnificent estate set upon a hill. The gardens are manicured with painstaking devotion. Pure mountain water flows through carved stone fountains. Rare night-blooming flowers release their gentle perfume into the air, and inside the main courtyard, a fire crackles quietly on the hearth. The air carries an unmistakable weight of safety, dignity, and deep rest. Now, imagine what happens if the owner of this sanctuary decides that placing a perimeter fence around the property is ungenerous, unkind, or selfish. They tear down the wrought iron gates. They lay down carpet across the threshold, leading straight in from the dusty public road. They hang a bright sign over the entry reading, "All are welcome, at all times, without condition." Within days, the sanctuary turns into a wasteland. Passers-by wander through in muddy boots, trampling the delicate night-blooming flowers into the dirt. Stray animals knock over the carved stone fountains, turning the clear mountain water into stagnant mud. Strangers march straight into the main courtyard, drop their heavy bags of rotting garbage on the hearth, scream their private frustrations into the air, and demand to be fed, entertained, and comforted. When the owner timidly asks them to lower their voices or step outside so the gardens can heal, the intruders laugh in their face, calling them cold, rude, and ungrateful. By the end of a single month, the hearth fire is extinguished. The owner sits huddled in a dark corner of their own home, exhausted, bitter, hollowed out, and terrified of their own existence. This destroyed estate is the exact psychological reality of any human being who lives without emotional boundaries. Most people are raised to believe a dangerous, toxic lie that being a good, loving, and spiritual person means keeping your soul's doors permanently unlocked. You are taught that setting firm limits on other people's behavior is aggressive, that saying no is an act of betrayal, and that taking care of your own emotional energy before serving others is the ultimate form of selfishness. So, you open the gates. You make yourself endlessly available to chronic complainers, emotional vampires, volatile relatives, and demanding acquaintances who view your empathy as an infinite resource to be mined for their own comfort. You swallow your own needs, ignore your body's screams for rest, and spend your precious hours cleaning up psychological messes that you did not create. And then, as your internal fire dies down to cold ash, a dark poison emotion begins to simmer deep in your gut: resentment. Resentment is the unmistakable smoke that rises from a soul whose boundaries have been systematically breached. It is the quiet, bitter anger that appears when you realize you have handed over the key to your internal house to people who do not even wipe their feet before walking across your floor. To master your emotions, you must shatter the illusion that boundaries are walls designed to push people away. A boundary is not a weapon of exclusion. A boundary is a sacred structure of preservation. It is the clear, explicit line that defines where your emotional responsibility ends and where another person's emotional responsibility begins. It is the perimeter fence that keeps the hearth fire burning, so that when you do invite someone inside, you can offer them true warmth rather than cold, exhausted resentment. To build an impenetrable architecture of emotional boundaries, you must understand the three distinct zones of human interaction. Zone 1, the public courtyard. This is the wide, open area outside your gates. It is where casual acquaintances, distant colleagues, social media followers, and strangers reside. In this zone, you offer general courtesy, basic human respect, and professional politeness. However, you do not grant people in the public courtyard access to your deep vulnerability, your private dreams, your spiritual struggles, or your emotional labor. If someone in the courtyard starts throwing mud, you simply step back behind your perimeter fence and close the gate. You do not stand there arguing with them about why mud hurts. You simply revoke their access to your presence. Zone 2, the inner garden. This space is reserved strictly for tested, trustworthy human beings, true friends, supportive partners, and allies who have demonstrated a track record of mutual respect, emotional maturity, and safekeeping. In the inner garden, energy flows in both directions. You listen to their pain, and they hold space for yours. You celebrate their victories without envy, and they champion your growth without subtle sabotage. Entry into the inner garden is not a right based on blood or longevity. It is a privilege earned through consistent integrity. Zone 3, the Holy of Holies. This is the private, innermost chamber of your internal castle. It sits behind heavy stone walls, and it holds a single seat. Only you and your Creator belong inside this space. No partner, no child, no parent, and no spiritual leader should ever be permitted to occupy the Holy of Holies. This is where your core identity lives, where your deepest self-worth is rooted, and where your ultimate peace is anchored. When you allow another human being into this sacred center, you turn them into an idol, and you turn yourself into a slave to their moods, opinions, and approval. How do you enforce these zones when people are accustomed to walking freely through your life? You implement the 3 laws of dignified boundary enforcement. Law 1, the law of clear neutrality. When setting an emotional boundary, drop the need to justify, apologize, over-explain, or act with defensive anger. Over-explaining your boundary is a subtle admission that you believe you need the other person's permission to set it. Defensive anger is a sign that you feel guilty for protecting yourself. A sovereign boundary is delivered with soft eyes, a steady tone, and absolute clarity. Instead of saying, "I'm so sorry, I wish I could help you move this weekend, but I've been so stressed at work and my back hurts and I really need rest, please don't be mad at me," you simply say, "I won't be able to help you move this weekend, but I hope it goes smoothly." Notice the absolute strength in those words. No excuses, no drama, just a calm, clear statement of reality. Law 2, the law of relinquishing responsibility. You must make peace with a hard, liberating truth. You are not responsible for how another adult reacts to your healthy boundary. If someone gets angry, guilt trips you, gives you the silent treatment, or accuses you of being cold when you set a reasonable limit, that is not evidence that your boundary is wrong. It is direct proof that the boundary was desperately needed. People who rage against your boundaries are the very individuals who were benefiting from your lack of them. Let them throw their tantrum. Let them feel disappointed. Sit calmly in your internal courtyard. Breathe deeply and allow them to process their own emotional weather without stepping in to fix it for them. Law 3. The law of immediate consequences. A boundary without a consequence is not a boundary. It is merely a suggestion that will be ignored. If someone repeatedly crosses your line by raising their voice at you, disrespecting your choices, or dumping their toxic negativity into your lap, you must enforce an immediate physical or conversational shift. Do not debate them. Do not scream back. Simply execute the boundary. I value our connection, but I will not continue this conversation while you are shouting at me. I am going to step out for a walk now, and we can reconnect tomorrow when things are calm. Then, actually leave the room. When you consistently enforce consequences without emotional hostility, the world quickly learns that your peace is non-negotiable. You transform your life from a noisy, mud-splattered public road into a high, radiant sanctuary where your soul can finally bloom in peace. Chapter 12. The Mastery of Relational Triggers. Picture a small, dark room deep within an old house. Mounted on the wooden wall is a complex electrical circuit board filled with dozens of sensitive, red buttons, exposed wires, and quiet relays. Outside the house, various people walk past. Some walk by quietly, minding their own business. Others rush past in a hurry, accidentally brushing their shoulders against the outer wall. A few step up to the house out of curiosity or bad mood and press their fingers firmly against the wood. Inside the room, every single time an external person touches a spot on the wall, one of those sensitive red buttons gets pushed. Instantly, an electric arc leaps across the exposed wires. A loud siren blares on the roof, blinding strobe lights flash in every window, and a trapdoor drops open in the center of the living room floor, sending whoever is inside falling into a dark basement. The person living inside this house spends their life in a state of sheer exhaustion. They spend millions of dollars putting up warning signs on the outer lawn. Do not touch the wall. Walk carefully. Watch your step. They scream at passers-by who get too close, blaming the world for constantly setting off the sirens and dropping them into the dark basement. They never realize that the sirens, the strobe lights, and the trapdoors are not being operated by the people outside. The entire alarm system is wired directly to their own internal circuit board. The people outside are merely touching the wall. Their own past unhealed trauma is pushing the button. This sensitive, overwired house is the exact landscape of your relational triggers. We like to believe that when someone makes us explode with rage, collapse into tears, or withdraw into a cold shell of insecurity, it is entirely because of what they just said or did. We point our finger at our partner, our parent, our child, or our co-worker and say, "You made me feel this way. You ruined my mood. You pushed me over the edge." This is a deep, comforting illusion. The truth is that no other human being can push a button inside your soul that does not already exist, mounted on your internal wall. When someone makes a casual comment about your appearance, your income, your driving, or your choices, and you experience a massive, overwhelming emotional surge that completely out of proportion to the actual event, you are not reacting to the present moment. You are experiencing a traumatic echo. The current event is simply a finger touching the outer wall. The sudden surge of pain, rage, or panic is the ancient, unhealed wound inside your basement, leaping back to life. Consider how these hidden relational buttons are wired into your psyche during your earlier years. If you grew up in a home where you were only praised when you performed perfectly, a minor critique from a boss today will not feel like helpful feedback. It will push the button of abandonment through imperfection, triggering a wave of paralyzing anxiety. If you grew up around a volatile, unpredictable parent where you had to constantly walk on eggshells to stay safe, a partner's quiet mood or neutral silence today will push the button of impending chaos, causing you to frantically over-explain, plead, or demand reassurance. If you were betrayed, lied to, or dismissed by someone you loved in a past relationship, a current partner taking 2 hours to reply to a text will push the button of existential erasure, triggering a fiery wave of accusation and jealousy. The people closest to you, your partners, your family, your close friends, are not cosmic villains sent to destroy your peace. They are living, breathing mirrors. They walk into your life and, usually without intending to, place their fingers precisely on your unhealed buttons. This is why intimate relationships are often the most turbulent arenas of human existence. They act as relentless psychological light, shining directly into the dark, hidden closets of your unhealed past. An unmastered person views relational triggers as an assault. They attack the mirror, try to control the other person's behavior, and demand that the entire world walk on eggshells around their sensitive circuit board. The master, however, views relational triggers as a sacred diagnostic. When a button gets pushed and an emotional storm flares up in their chest, the master does not instantly attack the person standing in front of them. They recognize that the intense heat they are feeling is ancient energy seeking a way out. They use the trigger as an opportunity to locate the exposed wire, heal the underlying wound, and permanently dismantle the trapdoor. To master your relational triggers and transform your connections from war zones into sanctuaries of growth, execute the 4 steps of the Trigger Integration Protocol. Step 1. Catch the charge. The moment you feel that sudden hot flare of intense reactivity during an interaction, that sharp spike in your heart rate, that urge to scream, run, or attack, freeze. Recognize the physical charge immediately. Say to yourself in the silence of your mind, "I am triggered right now. The alarm system is going off. This emotion is 90% past memory and 10% present reality." Step 2. Call a sacred timeout. Do not attempt to navigate a difficult relational conversation while your internal circuit board is firing sirens and flashing strobe lights. You will say things designed to wound, not heal. Look at the other person with calm, quiet composure and say, "I am feeling a lot of intense emotional noise rise up inside me right now, and I want to respond to you with wisdom, not react with anger. I need 20 minutes to step away, breathe, and clear my head before we continue." Then, physically walk away into a quiet space. Step 3. Trace the button. In that quiet space, sit down, place your hand over your tight chest, and trace the feeling backward into your timeline. Ask yourself, when is the very first time in my life I felt this exact same feeling of being small, dismissed, unsafe, or inadequate? Allow your memory to drift back into your childhood or past relationships. See the young, vulnerable version of yourself who built that red button as a survival mechanism to protect against pain. Realize that the adult standing in the room today is no longer that helpless child. You have power, you have choices, and you have safety within your own sovereign presence. Wrap your internal arms around that younger version of yourself. Speak to that memory with unconditional love. "I see you. I know why you built this button. But we are safe now. You don't have to fight this battle anymore. I will handle it." Step 4. Return with clean intent. Once the adrenaline has drained and the ancient memory has been embraced, return to the conversation. Speak exclusively from your current adult reality, using soft, vulnerable I statements rather than accusatory you statements. Instead of saying, "You are cold, selfish, and you never care about my feelings," you say, "When you went quiet earlier, a strong feeling of insecurity came up inside me that made me feel disconnected from you. I wanted to share that with you so we can understand each other better." Notice how this shift completely diffuses relational war. You stop throwing mud across the fence, and you invite the other person to look at the circuit board with you in deep, mutual compassion. When you master your relational triggers, other people cease to be threats to your peace. They become partners in your evolution, helping you locate every hidden wound until your entire internal board is completely rewired into an unbreakable structure of love, dignity, and peace. Chapter 13. The Freedom of Emotional Forgiveness. Imagine walking along a narrow, winding mountain path under the heat of a relentless midday sun. Slung across your shoulders is a massive, frayed burlap sack. Inside that sack are smooth, jagged, and cold, heavy stones. Every single stone represents a past hurt, a betrayal, an unfair insult, or a deep disappointment you have suffered in your lifetime. There is the jagged black stone of a former friend who spoke behind your back. There is the heavy granite rock of a parent who never offered the approval you desperately craved. There is the sharp, slate edge of a partner who walked away when you needed them most. Every single day, you pull this heavy sack out of bed with you. You haul it up the stairs at work, you carry it across your living room, and you sleep with it resting across your chest at night. Your shoulders ache constantly. Your spine is permanently curved under the weight. Your breath is short, shallow, and strained. When people ask you why you refuse to put the heavy sack down, you look at them with burning eyes and say, "I cannot put it down. If I put this sack down, it means that those who hurt me got away with it. Carrying this weight is my way of proving how badly they wronged me." Take a step back and look at this scene with cold, objective clarity. Who is actually suffering from the crushing weight of that burlap sack? Is the person who betrayed you 5 years ago feeling the weight across their spine? Are they losing sleep tonight because you are carrying a heavy rock with their name written on it? Of course not. They are somewhere else living their life, completely oblivious to your heavy burden. You are the only one drinking the poison, holding the cold stone, and breaking your own back, all under the bizarre, tragic illusion that your suffering is somehow punishing the person who hurt you. This heavy, soul-crushing burlap sack is the exact reality of an unforgiving heart. There is perhaps no concept in human psychology and spirituality more deeply misunderstood than the concept of forgiveness. Most human beings view forgiveness as an act of weak submission. They believe that to forgive someone means to excuse their terrible behavior, to erase history, to pretend the betrayal never happened, or to invite a toxic person back into their life to hurt them all over again. They treat forgiveness as a gift they give to their offender, a gift that the offender does not deserve. So, they hold on to their bitterness. They polish their grievances like precious gems. They replay the crime in their minds 10,000 times, feeding the burning embers of resentment long after the original fire should have gone out. To achieve true emotional sovereignty, you must shatter this toxic illusion forever. Forgiveness is never a gift you give to the person who hurt you. Forgiveness is the sacred gift you give exclusively to yourself. Forgiveness is not pardoning a crime. It is not approving of disrespect. It is not forgetting what happened, nor is it inviting a dangerous person back across the threshold of your life. Forgiveness is simply the conscious, courageous decision to cut the invisible, heavy rope that binds your current emotional state to another person's past behavior. It is placing the heavy burlap sack down on the dirt path, straightening your spine, and walking forward into the sunlight as a free human being. To master the alchemy of forgiveness, you must understand the two distinct layers that govern human liberation: self-forgiveness and external relinquishment. Layer 1, the foundation of self-forgiveness. Before you can ever hope to release bitterness toward another human being, you must address the hidden, silent war raging inside your own heart, the war against yourself. If you look closely beneath the surface of your lingering anger toward an offender, you will almost always find a deep, unacknowledged layer of self-blame. You blame yourself for being naive enough to trust them. You blame yourself for not seeing the red flags earlier. You curse your past self for opening your heart, staying too long, or failing to speak up when your boundaries were first crossed. You carry a quiet, toxic shame that whispers, "I allowed this to happen to me." This internal self-directed rage is the darkest rock inside your burlap sack. To heal this internal breach, you must practice radical compassion for your past self. You must realize that the version of you who made those choices in the past was operating with the exact level of awareness, emotional maturity, and life experience they possessed in that specific moment. They did not have the wisdom you have today. They were doing the best they could to navigate a complex situation with the tools they had. Sit down in a quiet room, close your eyes, and bring that past version of yourself into your mind's eye. See them standing there, bruised, confused, and filled with regret. Look them in the eyes and speak to them with unshakable tenderness. "I forgive you. You were learning. You trusted because you are a person of deep love. You stayed because you believed in the good in people. Your mistake was not a fatal flaw. It was a necessary lesson that brought us to the wisdom we hold today. I release you from the prison of my own judgment. When you forgive yourself for trusting the wrong person, your need to carry bitter anger toward that person instantly dissolves into thin air. Layer 2. External relinquishment. Once you have made peace with your own history, you are ready to execute the act of external relinquishment. External relinquishment is the process of surrendering your demand for a better past. It is accepting that the event occurred, that the betrayal was real, and that the person who hurt you may never apologize, may never realize the depth of the pain they caused, and may never face the public accountability you desire. You stop waiting for an apology to begin your healing. You realize that requiring an offender to apologize before you can feel peace is equivalent to making your internal health hostage to a criminal's choices. Instead, you use the protocol of the unsent letter. Take a physical piece of paper and a pen. Write down every raw, uncensored detail of the pain you experienced. Express the rage, the grief, the disappointment, and the betrayal without holding back a single word. Let the paper carry the heat that has been trapped inside your ribcage for years. Then, at the bottom of the page, write these single, life-altering words. You hurt me deeply, and what you did was fundamentally wrong, but I refuse to give you another second of my future. I reclaim my energy, I drop this weight, and I leave you behind in the past where you belong. I forgive you, not for your peace, but for my freedom. Take that paper outside, set it on fire in a safe metal basin, and watch the smoke rise up into the sky until nothing is left but gray, harmless ash. As the ash cools, take a deep, spacious breath into your lungs. Feel the lightness returning to your shoulders. Feel your spine straightening. Step forward on the mountain path with your hands empty, your heart open, and your spirit permanently free. Chapter 14. The sovereign mind in the modern noise. Imagine sitting at a wooden table inside a quiet room, trying to write an important letter that requires the absolute depth of your wisdom, focus, and heart. Just as you dip your pen in the ink, 10 loud, chaotic strangers burst through the front door. One stranger grabs a brass trumpet and starts blowing harsh, disharmonious notes directly into your ear. Another stranger opens a giant box filled with thousands of bright, flashing neon advertisements and starts throwing them across your table. A third stranger grabs you by the shoulder, screaming a terrifying, sensationalized story about an impending disaster happening 10,000 miles away. The remaining strangers begin shouting competing opinions at one another, arguing furiously about things that have zero relevance to your life, your home, or your purpose. Now, ask yourself an honest question. How much of your deep, soul-level letter are you going to write while sitting in that room? You won't write a single sentence. You will sit there dazed, stressed, distracted, and exhausted, overwhelmed by the deafening storm of meaningless noise. This chaotic room is not an imaginary nightmare. It is the precise reality of the modern digital landscape in which you live every single hour of your life. Never in human history has the human mind been subjected to such a continuous, aggressive, and highly engineered assault of noise, outrage, and distraction. You wake up in the morning, and before your feet even touch the floor, you reach for a small glass screen. In less than 3 minutes, your nervous system ingests a toxic cocktail of global tragedies, political arguments, performative wealth, manufactured outrage, and algorithmic algorithms specifically designed by teams of neuroscientists to trigger your primal survival fears. Your brain was evolved to handle the social dynamics of a small tribe of 50 people and the local weather of a single valley. Today, your nervous system is forced to process the collective anxiety, anger, and posturing of 8 billion human beings simultaneously. The result is a widespread mental health crisis characterized by chronic overwhelm, persistent low-grade anxiety, fractured attention spans, and deep emotional exhaustion. Most people move through their days with an internal battery running on 3% capacity. Their mental currency is scattered across 1,000 different tabs, leaving them zero focused energy to build their own health, cultivate real relationships, or master their own minds. They are not ruling their internal environment. They are living as psychological cattle, herded from one emotional outrage to the next by digital algorithms that profit directly off their fractured focus. To achieve true emotional mastery in the 21st century, you must execute a fierce, uncompromising revolution of your digital and mental habits. You must cultivate the sovereign mind in the modern noise. A sovereign mind understands that in an age of infinite information, curation is power and silence is the ultimate luxury. You must treat your mind as a high-security sanctuary. You must realize that every piece of media, every notification, every short video, and every commentary you ingest is a literal input that alters the chemical structure of your brain and sets the baseline tone of your emotional climate. If you feed your mind a continuous diet of low-quality digital garbage, you cannot be surprised when your emotional life feels chaotic, anxious, and hollow. To reclaim your mental sovereignty and protect your emotional health from the modern storm, implement the 4 pillars of the Digital Sovereignty Protocol. Pillar 1. The sacred threshold. Establish an absolute, unbreakable rule for the first hour and the last hour of your day. 0 digital consumption. When you wake up in the morning, your brain transitions from slow theta waves to active alpha and beta states. This opening window is the most impressionable, sacred time for your subconscious mind. If you flood your brain with emails, news, or social media, the moment you open your eyes, you instantly program your system for reactivity, stress, and comparison. Protect that first hour fiercely. Use it to breathe, hydrate, move your physical body, sit in quiet reflection, or read timeless books. Similarly, turn off all screens 1 hour before sleep. Give your nervous system a chance to decompress from the blue light and digital noise so that your sleep becomes a deep, restorative sanctuary rather than a fitful processing of late-night outrage. Pillar 2. The elimination of passive outrage. Recognize that modern news organizations and social media platforms do not operate to inform you. They operate to capture your attention. And nothing captures human attention faster than fear, outrage, and moral panic. Audit your information inputs ruthlessly. Unfollow accounts, unsubscribe from channels, and delete apps that rely on sensationalism, outrage, and superficial drama to keep you hooked. Ask yourself before clicking on any content, will ingesting this information make me a wiser, calmer, and more effective human being, or is it simply triggering my primitive outrage for profit? If it does not add depth, value, or peace to your life, starve it of your attention. Pillar 3. The practice of deep, uninterrupted focus. Your ability to focus your attention deeply on a single task for extended periods is the ultimate superpower of the modern world. It is also the ultimate foundation of emotional peace. When you work, create, or spend time with loved ones, practice monotasking. Put your phone in another room, turn off all notifications, and plunge your entire awareness into the single present activity. Whether you are writing a report, lifting weights, or listening to your child speak, offer the moment your complete, undivided presence. When you stop fragmenting your attention across 50 different directions, the constant internal sense of rush and anxiety vanishes, replaced by a deep, satisfying flow state. Pillar 4. The return to the physical world. Remember that the digital world is a flat, two-dimensional illusion. Real life exists in the physical, tangible universe beneath your feet. Whenever you feel a wave of digital overwhelm, brain fog, or emotional anxiety rising up, immediately perform a physical grounding routine. Step outside barefoot and place your feet directly onto the cold grass or soil. Look up at the wide open sky and watch the natural movement of clouds. Lift heavy weights, plunge into cold water, or walk through a quiet forest until your body feels alive and exhausted. Reconnect with the tangible, slow, and magnificent rhythms of nature. The trees do not rush, the mountains do not obsess over algorithm shifts, the ocean does not panic over distant opinions. When you step out of the digital matrix and root your soul firmly back into the physical earth, you step into a quiet, unshakable sovereignty that no amount of modern noise can ever destroy. Chapter 15. The Unshakable Sanctuary. Imagine walking through the ruins of an ancient, forgotten empire high in the mountain peaks. All around you lie shattered marble pillars, fallen arches, and broken stone walls that were once designed to withstand siege engines and giant armies. Century after century, empires fought over this ground. Thousands of soldiers marched across these hills, kings issued frantic orders, and violent storms battered the open courtyards. Yet, tucked deep beneath those fallen marble monuments, carved directly into the heart of the granite mountain itself, lies an underground sanctuary. It is a quiet, vaulted room. The air inside is completely still. No wind from the mountain peak ever reaches this chamber. No noise from the ancient battles above ever penetrated these thick granite walls. A tiny oil lamp rests on a simple stone table in the center of the room, casting a soft golden glow across the floor. The flame sits entirely still, without a single flicker, as if time itself has paused to rest. This underground chamber is not just a physical location. It is the ultimate destination of your inner journey, the unshakable sanctuary. Throughout this audiobook, we have traversed the dark, turbulent valleys of the human experience. You have learned to recognize the subtle, invisible steering wheel of your primal nervous system. You have discovered how to widen the sacred gap between an external stimulus and your internal response. You have unmasked the anatomy of your emotional storms, stopped the slow poison of emotional suppression, and decoded the diagnostic messages flashing on your dashboard. You have mastered the alchemy of transmutation, surrendered the foolish illusion of external control, and built firm, dignified boundaries around your soul. Now, as all those individual lessons converge into a single, unified state of consciousness, a profound transformation occurs. You stop trying to manage your emotions. You stop fighting against your biology. You step out of the endless cycle of internal war and settle permanently into the quiet, vaulted sanctuary at the center of your own soul. To inhabit the unshakable sanctuary is to experience a radical shift in how you relate to the entirety of human existence. An unmastered person believes that peace is something they must achieve by fixing every broken piece of their external environment. They treat peace like a fragile glass ornament that will shatter into 1,000 pieces the moment a storm arrives. The sovereign individual realizes that true peace is not an ornament you protect. True peace is the foundation upon which you stand. Consider the physical reality of the deep ocean. On the surface of the Atlantic Ocean, a fierce winter hurricane can create 50-foot waves. The water churns violently, white foam sprays across the dark sky, and ships are tossed around like helpless matchsticks. If you only look at the surface, you would swear the entire ocean is caught in a fatal, chaotic cataclysm. But if you dive just 300 feet below that churning surface, the water becomes completely still. The dark blue depths are cool, quiet, and serene. The hurricane can rage on the surface for 3 days straight, but down in the deep, not a single drop of water is disturbed. The deep ocean does not fight the hurricane on the surface. It simply holds the storm within its vast, spacious body. You are the deep ocean. Your fleeting thoughts, physical sensations, and temporary emotional surges are merely the 50-foot waves churning on the surface. When anxiety flares up, it is just a wave on the surface. When a sudden flash of anger strikes, it is just foam spraying across the water. When sadness washes over your heart, it is simply a passing swell. From the quiet floor of your internal sanctuary, you look up at the surface weather with gentle, compassionate eyes. You no longer panic when a storm appears. You do not try to smooth down the surface waves with your bare hands. You allow the weather on the surface to be as wild, loud, and intense as it needs to be, while your core remains anchored in the unshakable depth below. To live from the unshakable sanctuary every day of your life, you must embody the 3 sacred principles of living mastery. 1. The principle of radical presence. Living from the sanctuary means offering your complete, undivided presence to whatever reality is standing directly in front of you in this precise second. When you sit with a friend who is grieving, you do not try to fix them, offer cheap platitudes, or rush them out of their pain. You open the doors of your internal sanctuary and hold a spacious, safe room where their grief can exist without judgment. When you face a massive crisis at work, you do not run, scream, or throw a tantrum. You bring the cool, quiet clarity of your sanctuary into the chaotic room, evaluating options with objective precision and taking decisive action. 2. The principle of unconditional welcome. In the unshakable sanctuary, there are no outlawed feelings. Joy is welcome, but so is sorrow. Triumph is welcome, but so is disappointment. Confidence is welcome, but so is vulnerability. You recognize that every single human emotion is a thread in the magnificent tapestry of your earthly experience. To reject sadness is to reject the depth of love that caused it. To fear anxiety is to deny the biological wisdom that seeks to keep you safe. You welcome every guest into your courtyard, listen to their story, and let them pass through without holding on to any of them. 3. The principle of sacred wholeness. Finally, living from the sanctuary means realizing that you are already whole. You do not need this audiobook, a new relationship, a higher bank balance, or a critic's validation to make you complete. Those things are simply weather passing across the sky. Your true nature, the quiet, loving, conscious observer sitting in the vaulted chamber, was born whole, remains whole, and will die whole. When you realize your intrinsic wholeness, the desperate, clawing hunger for external approval vanishes. You stop using people to fill your internal emptiness, and you start offering your presence as a radiant source of strength, peace, and love to a hungry world. Take a slow, deep breath into your diaphragm. Feel the solid granite floor of your internal sanctuary beneath your feet. The storm on the surface may continue to rage, but down here in the deep, you are finally home, completely safe and permanently free. Chapter 16. The Silent Triumph. Imagine sitting on the quiet stone porch of a small cabin at the very edge of a vast, calm lake, just as the sun begins to dip below the mountain ridge. The sky shifts through breathtaking gradients of deep violet, burnt orange, and quiet indigo. The surface of the water is so still that it acts as a perfect, unbroken mirror, reflecting the ancient pines, the distant snow-capped peaks, and the first evening stars emerging in the high atmosphere. There is no audience sitting around you to offer applause. There are no cameras recording the moment. There are no grand speeches, no trophies, and no public announcements. There is only you, the quiet wilderness, and the slow, rhythmic rise and fall of your own breath. In the distance behind you, back down the long, winding road you traveled to reach this place, lies the noisy city of your past. You can remember the years you spent down in those crowded streets. You remember the endless arguments, the frantic racing after validation, the sleepless nights spent constructing defensive explanations, and the agonizing weight of carrying your heavy burlap sack of unhealed wounds. You remember how terrifying it felt when the storms rolled through, how easily your temper flared, and how helpless you felt whenever life refused to obey your preferences. Look at how far you have walked since those desperate days in the streets. You did not achieve this transformation by defeating the world in a noisy battle. You did not achieve it by conquering your enemies, forcing critics to apologize, or accumulating vast mountains of external status. You achieved it through the silent triumph. The silent triumph is the quietest, most magnificent victory a human soul can achieve on this earth. It is the victory that happens when a human being finally conquers their own reactivity, tames their internal storms, and steps into complete, unshakable self-sovereignty. It is called a silent triumph because the rest of the world will rarely notice the exact moment it occurs. The world sees you face a severe setback, a sudden loss, or a cruel insult, and they expect you to explode, crumble, or wage war as you used to do. But instead, you simply take a slow, deep breath. You offer a calm, unbothered smile. You set a firm, quiet boundary, or you extend grace where judgment was expected, and you move forward with unruffled dignity. The world might mistake your quiet composure for passivity. They might assume you didn't care or didn't notice the insult. They have no idea that behind your quiet eyes, an ancient, alchemical miracle just took place. They do not see the massive emotional wave that surged through your nervous system, only to be met by the vast, spacious ocean of your internal sanctuary. They do not see the raw biological voltage that was caught melted down, and transmuted into pure wisdom before a single word left your lips. You did not need to shout. You did not need to defend your honor. You did not need to win the argument. The result was quiet, absolute, and total. As we bring this life-changing audiobook journey to its close, carry these final, enduring realizations deep within your spirit. First, mastery is not a static destination. It is a daily practice. You will still have days when an unexpected trigger gets past your guards. You will have moments when a sudden wave of sadness, fear, or anger knocks you off balance for a few minutes. When those moments occur, do not judge yourself as a failure. Do not throw away your practice or declare that you have learned nothing. Mastery does not mean never falling. It means widening the gap, catching yourself faster, and returning to your center with grace, humor, and self-compassion. Treat every slip as a gentle reminder to return to your breath and step back into your sanctuary. Second, your internal peace is your greatest gift to the world. In a world consumed by chaotic noise, continuous outrage, and volatile reactivity, a calm, sovereign human being is a literal healing force. When you step into a room holding an unshakable internal peace, you do not need to give lectures or preach lessons. Your nervous system silently co-regulates the nervous systems of everyone around you. Your quiet strength calms the frantic mind of a partner. Your steady presence grounds a terrified child. Your refusal to absorb toxicity diffuses arguments before they even begin. By mastering your own emotions, you become a lighthouse, standing firm amidst the dark, stormy seas of human suffering, guiding lost ships safely home to port. Finally, remember the core truth upon which your new life is built. You are not the storm. You are the sky. You are not the wave. You are the ocean. You are not the passing mood. You are the sovereign master of the internal kingdom. Let the world make its noise. Let the waves churn on the surface. Let the critics shout from the shore. Keep your head held high. Keep your heart wide open. Keep your boundaries firm, and let your quiet, undeniable peace speak for the majesty of your soul. Go forth now as the captain of your inner world. Step into the sunlight of your true freedom and master your life forever. We have reached the conclusion of this entire 16-chapter audiobook experience. It has been a profound journey through the depths of human emotional mastery, inner sovereignty, and lasting peace. May these words serve as a timeless companion on your continuous path of transformation.